Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Navtastic, podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're here to review Take Two, They're Small, from the 5th season of Laverne and Shirley, directed by Ray Duvall Jr. and written by Paula A. Roth and Judy Pioli. And I bet Chris is going to have some facts about them, but we're going to get to those deeper into the episode. Here's what it's about. The girls meet two new girls from management, i.e. the payroll department, and immediately make enemies after these new girls make classist remarks about their behavior and looks. Forgetting the conflict, Laverne and Shirley prepare for their Saturday night date to the roller rink, and Laverne makes use of Lenny and Squiggy's new computer dating service, which delivers her a podiatrist. A jealous Shirley is initially alright with going to the rink with Carmine, but he informs her that he needs to drive his cousin to the airport instead. Making use of Lenny as the human computer Lenovac, Shirley too lands herself a date. The two guys who show up at the door are little people, and while the girls initially treat them with awkwardness, they soon find fellowship with them and find themselves having a good time on the date. But when they head to the rink, their payroll enemies are there, and they insult the girls' dates. A battle for roller rink supremacy ensues. Who will be the victor? What do you think of this episode?
Well, it's no unholy rollers, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. They handled this subject way better than you would expect them to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially after some of the other topics they've covered in the last couple of years.
Yeah. We have to give them credit for the way they handled the slow child and the way they handled this. For the time, this is pretty progressive. The term little people is still popular when it comes to referring to little people. That's what little people prefer you call them still, as far as I know from what I've seen and what I have heard. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that I did do a little bit of research on like what is considered the appropriate nomenclature, and that's one of like 2 or 3 terms that are still kind of used today. So it's one of those that is always kind of changing, and we're we're all still working with that.
Yes. I love that the point is that these guys are good-natured. They're just used to the crap. They're used to the BS. And they're just like, fine, if you're going to reject us so we can just be rejected and go. Because we're not going to sit here and listen to the funny haha jokes. And the girls go, we're being jerks. Oh, we're not seeing them as human beings. And they take the time to see them as human beings. Mm-hmm. And that's a really, really nice message. I love the way Frank sees them.
Mm-hmm.
Is he Italian? He's half Italian. That's good news.
Yeah, it's half. That's good. Yeah, real casual.
Yeah. It could matter less to him, and I think that's real sweet.
And they even kind of set that up with the way that when he comes into the scene, he has Edna along with him, and she's dressed in a dress that makes her look more Italian, more, it's Italian style patterns and clothing and colors.
That's a really pretty dress.
Oh, God, she looks so... Yeah. That's literally my note in all caps. Edna looks gorgeous, by the way.
And that's just the truth. That's just true.
Oh, it is.
She looks great. Yes.
Yeah.
She does actually look wonderful. What I think is really beautiful about the episode is that these characters don't get neutered. They don't get censored. They're 2 successful dudes who just happen to be small stature. They have needs and desires and sense of humor just like every other human being in the world. And they do not give in to the temptation to make them martyr figures.
Mm-hmm.
And give the show some credit for that. Especially in the early 80s. We're in the early 80s now. This episode aired, I think, in January of 1980. I'm pretty sure. Might be November 79. I'll look it up eventually. But for the time, this is very progressive. This is very progressive for what they've.
Just double checking. November 22nd, 1979.
It was close. We're almost to the Christmas break. Almost to the Christmas break, but not quite. I know I was born in the gap between The Collector and Murder on the Moose Jaw Express, which is coming up this season. That's when I was born.
Aw.
That one little gap in between episodes.
Just right in the middle. It's like the show had to go on a break because the world was not quite ready to have you and Laverne and Shirley at the same time.
I need to check and find out what was actually on TV that day. And I will find that out eventually.
I love that.
I know. But we always say, what's your episode? What's the episode that was that aired closest to your birthday?
That's right.
That's your
yeah,
episode.
we've had this discussion, I think, with our group, right? With our the little enclave of fans.
Yes. Our friend fans, our little group chat, and our public chats that you can witness and take part in at Night After Night PC on Twitter, and at After Night Pod at Facebook. So join us. Find out what your episode is.
Yeah, find out what your episode is, and maybe perhaps we can find a space for you.
Yes.
I have no idea where that went. Anyway, back to the episode itself. Because what I really enjoyed, I agree about this episode, is there's kind of a sense of warmth and sensitivity to it, and I sort of like the final message at the end that we kind of come to, and it's sort of the whole episode's building towards this. The whole snobs, it's a great snobs versus slobs story, because
I was going to mention that specifically. Yes.
The idea is that what is the measure of success? Because these are people that, to be like, remember, the point is, what is their job? Their jobs are a podiatrist and a lawyer, and these are, they're good jobs. They're highly intelligent people. They're very good. They're very good human beings. They treat the girls well, and ultimately, what they get out of the evening is a great time. Because what's interesting about Laverne and Shirley is they're always seeking the ring. They're seeking the future. They're seeking the perfect high, smutty high, or a marriage. And
happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to skip to the end too much. And here it's like, enjoy the journey, because, they may just date these guys off and on for once in a while, but at the very least, they just had a great time.
Yeah, exactly. The point is that they are enjoying themselves for once, and it's not about the forever. It's not even about the dream they're trying to make come true, to quote the theme song. It is about enjoying the moment, enjoying the date, and hanging out with two guys who are not jerks, who are not perverts, who are not trying to molest them. Two guys who are just a good time. Well, Laverne does get goose, but she enjoys it. She does not censor him for goosing her at all. And they just have a great time, and they have a memorable night. And for them, that is good enough, and I enjoy it that way.
Exactly. I also really enjoyed that this was an episode that had the whole cast. This had everybody.
Yes.
There's a good bit for Carmine. There's a great bit for Frank and Edna, Lenny and the boys, Lenny and Squiggy, the whole, I remember you and I started talking about this episode, and I began to realize right away, this was that Valentine's episode of Futurama. And, is that a Valentine's Day one, or am I getting confused with? Because I know Love and Rocket is the Valentine's Day one, but the one with Bender's dating service pretty much is from this.
The one where Amy and Fry hook up.
Right. What am I saying? It's the it's the severed head.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Thank you. Yes, the thing with two heads spun. Yes, awesome.
Yes. I knew that was the title. I didn't even have to look it up.
Yep. I used to know the title. That was an episode. I watched that episode to death, and so
it's a fun one.
Yeah. Oh no, that's why I watched it to death. It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. It's like, hey, why are we making out anyway? So the boys here. This is like their fifth scheme so far this season.
Yes.
God.
It's a fun scheme though. It's a really fun scheme. They are trying to make money any way they can, and to give Squiggy the benefit of the doubt, this is a good idea. He's ahead of his time here. He's actually doing something useful and not quite altruistic, but kind of altruistic in its own way. Even if he wants $30 out of Shirley. 30 cents? $30. $30.
$3.
$3. It's right in my notes. $3. Even though he's collecting $3 from everybody he pulls in.
Yep. Hey, that Lenovac is clearly very expensive, and they got to pay off that investment. All that technology, the research and development, the thing that goes bleep bloop. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yep. Poor Lenny almost getting fried to death in a very Beaker-like way here.
Oh, certainly. Don't worry, he's grounded. Oh man.
Boy.
My comment about Lenny dressed up as the computer is the computer wore Levi's.
Oh yeah, yes. This is just something being called Lenovac, and his ability to suddenly pull statistics out of the air.
What was it? How many Shirleys are in the city? 827. Sorry, 826. Old Shirley passed on.
He says that too. The sad tone in his voice, perfect.
Speaking of Shirley, by the way, Squiggy calling Shirley honey nuts. I am amazed he did not get kicked in the groin for that. Holy cow, that was bold. That was extra bold. That was, here he is, it's bold.
It's bold and filled with flavor. But, I want to see you all naked, okay? That one was what pushed it for me.
That's great. Yeah, that whole opening works so well.
Yeah. I'm surprised he gets away with it. He gets away with it.
Yeah.
Okay, made you look.
Oh goodness. Yeah. And man, Michael with the little theater, this
Yes.
I mean, I love how movie theater stage acting, I mean, Michael lands that line, the whole bit.
Yes. All of his years in theater start paying off a lot in the show. And he was gone back to do theatrical work. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of plays since then. He was Enna Turdblad in Hairspray for a few years.
Oh, wow.
On Broadway. Oh, yeah, I got pictures of that. He shaved off his eyebrows for that part. That's dedication. He did a Woody Allen play. He did a Woody Allen play. He did Superior Donuts before it became a TV show in Chicago. And he's done a lot of theatrical work. He's very theatrical by nature. If you watch his performance throughout the show, you can tell he was a theater kid.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually just tell just watching him. You're like, oh, yeah, I recognize those gestures. I know that tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I, too, am lonely as well, too.
But yeah, that's really good stuff. The line deliveries from Squig. And actually, I mean, we're not to spoil where everything's headed, but we're actually kind of getting to a really good run of the next few episodes of the boys, the boys in general, and I think just the show in general. But the boys for these next 3 episodes get some really great moments, and this one was pretty standout, which is kind of nice given that I personally the whole come up with a scheme every week to try to make money. That got boring for me with the character of Schemer on Shiny Time Station. Does anyone remember that?
That came on a little bit after I was very young, but I remember that. I remember that still. I think I was maybe about 6 or 7 when that debuted here.
Yeah, because that was like one of the first things I ever watched on television as a child.
Yeah. I can imagine that. I'm like 6 years older than you, so yeah, that's about right.
That's right, ladies. I go for the older woman. Mm-hmm.
We're still in the same generation. So, these really, really snobby women, these super ultra snobby women, I love that they're so freaking superior. They're just in the payroll department.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's barely white collar. Barely.
I don't even know if I would even call it white collar. I mean, we even did that as a... when we did Downcast, that was actually something we were trying to figure out was the girlfriend of the hitman character. What was her job? And what was she doing before? And I remember like out of nowhere, one of the writers says, oh, she works like in a payroll office. And it's like, she works in the payroll office straight out of college. And it's like, it's a starter job. It's I mean, as you're saying, it's barely like, it's practically secretarial. Secretaries were still, God,
we've learned that Laverne actually got some secretarial training, and we learned that later on, that Laverne got secretarial training. And if she could get secretarial training with like almost literally no money in her bank account, then, it's not a big deal. She could have been a file clerk too, instead of a bottle cap, which is just, self-esteem issues, opportunities, etc., getting in her way. So, yeah.
Monkeys to do that job. That's on my notes, and just
I know.
God.
I always wonder why they didn't get monkeys to do that job. I love that Shirley, who is so incredibly patient all the time, every second of the day, with almost everyone she meets, almost immediately is like with these women. You can bleep that out, future Chris, but she just does not even bother to try to make nice with them after they continue to basically call her and Laverne bimbos over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Just these measly little people, like, you don't deserve to have this table. We can sit wherever we want. It's like, I really appreciated that because I miss the Shirley that was still a badass, because it's like when you consider her dad's a sailor, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And her mom definitely was the kind of person that wouldn't take this crap,
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make sense to see Shirley like getting bowled over. But now, obviously, part of it, I think, is she's not trying to impress these people, which I think is part of what they end up doing is they immediately make her try to impress everybody. And so therefore she's always, being walked over. But yeah, I love that she is just sort of like, okay, you stay over there, we'll stay over here, and we don't have to say anything to each other, okay?
We don't have to look at each other. I think the show sometimes walks the line between wanting to have Shirley, the social climber who wants to work her way into that white-collar world, and Shirley, the natural feisty woman that she is, who can knock Richie Cunningham out with one punch.
Mm-hmm.
Who can hold her own in almost any brawl, who is tough enough to do that obstacle course, who can take care of herself, who, despite this image of being this dainty girl who's sweet and kind and good, she can also kick butt. And the show kind of switches up what she can do and what she does per episode. It changes up a lot. You compare that to Laverne, who is always consistently that touch my L sweetie and your teeth go to Peoria kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
All the time, almost without any type of faltering. Until we get to season 8, when everybody gets flanderized.
Yeah.
So, we'll get there eventually. Much probably to your everlasting regret, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But I think the thing I find unfortunate about that is that when I notice the best episodes of the show, they clearly accept that they're both, that Shirley is both. And those are my favorite episodes with Shirley, is where she is the social climber and, she's kind of, she could be a bit of a doormat or a people pleaser and what have you, but she also has either a limit or there is a strength and kind of a steadfastness and a sense of determination that is and kind of infectious in a way. Like there are times you clearly, and I think that's what's kind of interesting about like even this episode, for instance, is that the girls are very much on the same team in this episode, which I like throughout, and how that's something that we see in Shirley is how she can inspire people, and we'll see more of that later. But
she's very much a steel hand in a velvet glove.
There you
in
go.
A lot of ways. Yeah, that is who Shirley really is. Laverne is a gauntlet with a kitten inside. Let's put it a different way. She is that hard exterior, and then inside there is someone softer who dreams, but she doesn't let that person out because she's been hurt too much. She's been disappointed too much. And it's kind of made her cynical. Get an episode. You go ahead, sir.
No. I'm about to make a joke. You go. Please go ahead.
We do get an episode later in the season that addresses that is really beautiful, that both of us loved. We're going to get to that very soon. We'll be hearing that in a few weeks. But yeah, that's who she is, and that's who Shirley is, and that's how they deal with conflict in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, my joke was going to just be that Laverne having a kitten at the center of the gauntlet just made me think of a lament configuration, and instead of the Cenobites, suddenly this bundle of kittens pops out.
Oh god, I'm picturing Lenny and Squiggy as Cenobites now, and I don't know if my brain should go there. We have such wonderful things to show you, Laverne.
So
we got beer.
Oh my god!
Anyway,
it just made me. Well, there's one problem with them being Cenobites is that they would be bald, and you can't. That'd be very difficult. That'd be very horrifying to see. Is the boys without hair, Carmine without hair?
We have seen Squiggy kind of bald in a bald cap during 2001 at Comic Odyssey. And of course, now Michael's bald in real life, so it's like you could kind of picture it.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
could kind of envision it. Kind of.
It's getting there. It's a little bit over there. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Anyway.
So, the girls' conflict over whether or not they should take up the boys on this dating service stuff is interesting because, they think that they're going to get screwed over. In reality, they don't. The boys actually pick two nice guys for them.
Mm-hmm.
Two nice, accomplished career men for them.
I was also going to just say is like, it's one of those things that it's almost like the stupidity of them kind of cancels out the idea, sort of like, because you would figure, right, that these are the guys that, because I'm sure they've tried to set them up with other blind dates and other situations. It's like, terrible idea. But I guess what I mean is that the boys being such dopes with such a dopey idea, those two dopey things cancel each other out and make something perfect. Yes.
I don't know if it's just the fact that they are themselves, or if it's the fact that they happen to know these two dudes. Maybe they know them because they bumped into them at the circus, because one of them does have a cousin who works at the circus, and saw them, knew they were good guys, and said, let's hook up our friends with them. So it could be them being vaguely altruistic, but also wanting $6.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So,
I like to think that it's a bit of both, because I like the idea that, they probably have, if they're friends with these two guys, they've probably heard the tale of, we always deal with these women, they don't like us, they don't appreciate, we just want to be treated as people, blah blah blah.
yes.
And either Squiggy, it would even be like, Squiggy and Lenny thinking to themselves like, who are the two nicest girls that we know?
Yeah.
Because they practically have hero worship of Laverne and Shirley in some ways.
Yeah, our most respected of neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
to quote them from early in the season. They respect the girls a lot. Lenny is basically wife guy for Laverne. Squiggy kind of puts Shirley on a pedestal in a way. And we'll see that more and more as we get into season 6. To the degree where he sees her as this morally unreproachable goddess in a lot of ways. Which is probably why he doesn't want to marry her. But yes. You can see that they might do this out of the goodness of their hearts. And not as a prank. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I'll hook you up with a doctor. But he's going to be a little person. I can't see them not being their sense of humor, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I consider it a gesture of altruism.
Yeah, it's what I choose to believe. To quote a certain Ridley Scott film that I can't believe I just practically name dropped. Anyway, but to give the fire back to the discussion though, I really like the two actors too that they ended up getting. And they do such a good job. Because I want to make sure we don't get caught up in not talking about them, because they so it was Jimmy Briscoe as Lance and Tommy Madden as Brent. I believe Lance is the lawyer and Brent is the podiatrist.
Okay.
Now, Jimmy Briscoe is not to be confused with the James Briscoe of the soul music group Jimmy Briscoe in the Beavers, which is a thing that I ran into some trouble with doing research. But for Mr. Briscoe here, this was one of his early works as an actor before a long and varied career of TV appearances in The Incredible Hulk, Police Squad, and more. He also did some stunt work in the mid-1980s on Ewoks Battle for Endor and the Stephen King anthology film Cat's Eye. And I love the warmth and intelligence in his smile in this episode.
Yes.
And I would love to see more of that. I would have loved to have seen more of that. I would have loved these two to actually have become recurring characters, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I could see them being part of the girls' worlds. I could honestly
exactly, and especially with Lenny and Squiggy too.
Yeah. The lawyer could always show up to defend them against ridiculous things they have done that require them to go to court. The podiatrist, hey, Lenny does have that sensitive part of his foot. Hey.
Oh goodness. And then so in Jimmy Briscoe's case, unfortunately he had his last role as a recurring spot on Hawthorne around 2010, 2011, but he passed away in 2018. So
that's too bad.
Yeah, Godspeed, Jimmy. Tommy Madden as Brent. So this guy actually has had a bit more roles that are a bit more noteworthy, but we'll get to that in a second. This poor guy was in Linda Lovelace for President, which I think that's the third time we've brought that up now on pod, I think. At least this is,
Oh goodness.
because yeah, that happened. That keeps coming up though. A lot of comedy types worked on that movie.
Yeah. Mickey Dolenz is in that movie.
Exactly. It's like what?
It's such a weird thing. What the hell is going on with our parents' generation? I know. It's actually my parents' generation versus yours parents, I think. But yes.
Yeah. Because with the age difference probably, but
Yeah.
But anyway, so Tommy Madden was also in the Muppet movie around the same time as this episode was done, and similar to Jimmy Briscoe, he worked a lot of like TV and movie appearances here and there. However, Tommy went on to have a memorable spot as Little Bruno in Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, as well as a small recurring role in Simon and Simon. He also got some TV appearances on both L.A. Law and Night Court, but also did pass away in 2017, sad to say. So yeah, they're both gone at this point as of this recording. But both of these actors also would appear on both the Incredible Hulk episode Half Nelson, as well as Captain Bippo and Gigglywig in Space Invaders in 1990. So that's a little bit of trivia there.
That's cool.
But yeah, but these two, I really enjoy, just to continue, there's so much to love about them just as, I guess what I mean is like, an actor is always about just being watchably fun. And, from Tommy Madden's work as, because he's the mischievous one that gooses Laverne. And that smile, is so cheeky. It's that, you can kind of understand why she doesn't take too much offense to it.
Yeah. Because he doesn't mean anything bad by it. It's not like awful.
Exactly.
Like I said earlier, they're seen as human beings, and that is what makes it great. That's what makes this whole thing great. So, what do you think? Sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask you something entirely different. I was going to ask you about Carmine. What you thought about Carmine's little appearance here?
Okay. I have notes. Hang on a second. There we go. Because my first note is in all caps Carmine, but then I immediately turn around into, wow, that's how you kiss your girlfriend. Oh, right. He has to screw it up somehow. And it's like, you like that, huh? So you in a good mood? Why do you ask? And I also didn't. I was surprised at how bad his form was and how he defended himself. So that means that he's probably been slapped out a bunch. So he knows that arm gesture would defend him, whereas an actual boxer would block his face a lot easier in a much different way. But so. I feel sorry. I liked Carmine in this episode, despite the fact he has to make Shirley unhappy. And it's simply because of the fact that it really is out of his hands. I've been there. I mean, you and I've had, we've literally in the last couple of months have had this situation where I've had to go do something and I couldn't record or do movie night or something. And so,
yeah. You learn how to balance things like that when you are an adult. Shirley does take it better than she would have perhaps earlier in the show. She would have perhaps really murdered him like he fears she might. So there's kind of some progress here a little bit.
Yeah. It's nice. And I do feel sorry that she gives a pretty good spicy Shirley Feeney shimmy, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. You in a good mood now? Why you ask?
Poor thing. I wonder if Squiggy had an alarm on that envelope for him to know that she opened it right at that moment.
I kind of wonder. My note on that is, that'll be $3. Squicking their money from miles away.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's another good theory. I like that a lot. Also, I am definitely putting this in the next compilation that we do. Which will probably be up by the time this episode goes out. But ride that river raft right down to Filthtown. Oh my gosh!
I love Shirley. I love Shirley so much. Of course, she says that. I also love the way Laverne makes martinis. These huge freaking balls of vodka into a pitcher.
My mother's eyes just popped right out at that.
No measuring, no using of anything resembling a measuring glass, just right in the tumbler.
And I do like that when they take the tiny sips of them later, everyone just kind of goes,
Yeah.
Um,
you say?
So
Oh dear.
I before I forget, by the way, I do have another mom note. Is and this will bring us back to the opening scene and the two rivals, the payroll gals.
Yes. Yes.
My mom commented that she used to have an ugly lunchbox just like that, and she hated it. That plaid lunchbox.
Oh, that's neat though. That's neat though. I think it's cool.
So I also, so speaking of, since we're jumping around a little bit back and forth,
Yes,
but
yeah.
so the two actors playing Claudette and Jane, supposedly quote unquote sisters, right?
Yes.
So Deborah White, I was able to find some information about, but Leslie Kagan, who's credited as Jane in the episode itself, I can find nothing about that person. I actually wonder if it's a synonym. I wonder if it's a pseudonym, but I was not able to find anything. There is no listings for anything on IMDb, not even this episode. There is nothing, no Wikipedia. There is like nothing. I looked it up, same spelling and everything. I double checked. So I don't know what. But Deborah White, this is right in the middle of a varied career of TV show episodes and some small grindhouse flicks, including The Van. That's right, The Van, 1977. Because Bobby couldn't make it till he went fun trucking. Like seriously, what the hell is that tagline? But after this, Deborah would land a regular role on St. Elsewhere for a half dozen episodes, a few episodes of Growing Pains, and yes, a role in Alligator 2. I do not say that lightly.
Oh, cool. Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Her most recent spotting was on an episode of The Americans circa 2017. So she might still be active as an actor, but
she must be.
But yeah, because we'll be getting into the big roller rink sequence in a second. It's kind of a bummer that there's not again, this was another case of this a possible kind of like the gal from Bowling for Raspberries, Karen, right?
Yes, Karen Clopton.
I kind of wish they did have a rival at the brewery. It feels like that's something missing there. Yeah.
Honestly, like we could have used a regular Gloria Lubitz.
Yes. Or just Gloria Lubitz.
Yes. Or a Gloria Lubitz or a Gloria Lubitz type, because she's just so good, and we needed more of a back and forth. I feel like these seasons do lose a little bit of something without a Rosie figure, or without a Karen, or without somebody like that to constantly be a thorn in the girls' side, giving them somebody to unite against together. Mm-hmm. Even the boys could unite against them and be on the girls' side in episodes like this. So yeah. That is one thing that these this season does in particular does miss. But otherwise, it's pretty solid. This is a pretty solid season in general. But that's just my little dumb opinion.
That's what people are here for, is here for your opinions. So, but anyway, so it kind of moves us into the roller rink sequence itself, though. I also like that it's not that they lied that they love roller skating; it's that they're not good at it.
Yeah, Yeah, they like skating, they just stink at it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's because that's the thing, right? I mean, there's plenty of video games I like that I'm terrible at.
Tons of people love to do things that they're not particularly good at, or they will get good at with practice. So you're gonna. And I love they accept this, and let's try to have fun anyway. And they try to have fun anyway, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
I was gonna mention the organist kills me every time.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the organist? Because okay. You want to talk about the organist? I've been dying to talk about the organist. Can we talk about the organist? Okay. That is the writer and director of the first nudie musical.
I should have recognized him.
That's Bruce Kimmel.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that. Oh my God. I love how many people that Cindy and Penny or Michael or David knew who ended up on Laverne and Shirley, because that's how big Laverne and Shirley was. Get your friends on. That's great.
I have more about that. Yeah. So he did have a music background, so that's probably him really performing as the organist. Meaning he also did perform on and write many of the songs for First Nudie Musical. He would continue
Okay,
having bit parts here and there, including a Happy Days episode, a couple of Happy Days episodes actually, as different characters. A spot on an episode of Angie, and to my complete surprise, we've actually seen him before. He was one of the guys in Good Time Girls. So I think he's yeah. But yeah, through the 70s, he appeared for a while on Donnie and Marie in the mid to late 70s. He wrote and directed The Creature Wasn't Nice in 1981, and now the one that blew
Cindy's in that too.
Yes. And so, okay, that's totally cool, because we need a little bit of a moment here, because he worked with one of his collaborators, David Wechter, on a screenplay about an alien invasion in a high school somewhere in Ohio. You probably know where this is going, because the script was later rewritten by Kevin Williamson and directed by Robert Rodriguez in 1998 as The Faculty.
That's so cool. That's so cool. The Faculty is great, by the way.
Oh yeah,
it's a great little horror movie.
Yeah, if anybody out there hasn't seen The Faculty, that is one of my favorite 90s horror films. This is my top 10 favorite 90s horror flicks for sure. So, so cool. we say horror movie, but it's fun. It's very Buffy, it's very Scream, it's very much of that era, but it's got the Rodriguez energy to it. It's so much fun. Yes.
It's a kind of a combination horror flick. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a B-movie, alien invasion creature kind of thing. So it's kind of complicated to explain.
Yeah, but with a bunch of Dawson's Creek thrown in for good measure.
Yes. Exactly.
That's actually, by the way, that's the film that helped get Elijah Wood to be cast as Frodo, because the story goes that. I hate to bring him up, but he is unfortunately the person kind of responsible for this. Harry Knowles has a cameo in The Faculty, because it's shot in Austin, and he met Elijah Wood on set. He tells the story actually. I remember him writing about this before Lord of the Rings was made. He saw Elijah at the flagpole, and he goes up to him and starts having this conversation. And he said within about 15 minutes, he had this blip in his mind, and he said, do you like Peter Jackson movies? And Elijah's like, oh yeah, I love Peter Jackson movies. But Meet the Feebles is one of my favorite films. And and Harry tells him, Peter's looking for a Frodo for his Lord of the Rings. You should audition for that.
Oh man, that's great.
So I might cut this part of the pod out, but I just wanted to make sure I shared that story, because that's just one of my.
Cool. Keep this in. I think it's a neat story.
Awesome.
It's just a little off topic, kind of in topic. It fits still.
But
that's cool.
So we basically have shown the Laverne and Shirley had an actor who had a appearance by an actor, writer, director who was responsible for the writing of a screenplay that then got rewritten by Kevin Williamson for a movie that then ended up starring Elijah Wood, who then met a film critic, movie nerd on the set who introduced him to the fact that Peter Jackson was making Lord of the Rings, and that is why we have Elijah Wood as Frodo.
Yeah. Life is an interesting chain link fence, isn't it? Life is an interesting, it's just a series of events that you never expect to see leading to where it does. It's like that meme with dominoes, the little tiny dominoes, Laverne Shirley, and the big dominoes, Elijah on Lord of the Rings.
There you go.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Just down and down. Eventually, those things, the little things, even the smallest.
Tiny grains of sand make a boulder.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Great. Anyway, we will get back to Mr. Kimmel soon. I also want to mention, because he will return on the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yes. I was going to say, there's a lot of great back and forth as the girls finally enter into this brouhaha to defend the honor of these dudes, which I really love. The show in this season and the season before starts delving more and more into feminist ideas. Mm-hmm. Actually, they've been delving into them all the way back into all the way back in season 1, but it becomes more overt here because the girls are standing up for these guys. They're kicking butt in the name of these guys, and that's not something you get to see a whole ton of, even in the 70s in primetime television, in sitcom world.
Mm-hmm.
And they win. They kick butt.
Yep.
And Laverne almost wants to swear, but primetime television in the 70s won't let her.
Yep. Yeah, you can hear it. Oh boy. But yeah, I love how immediately ready Laverne is to murder. And I especially, I was talking earlier about Shirley and her dad, is that you two girls are getting my Irish up, and it's like, bam, that's being her father's daughter right there.
No wonder you're out with leprechauns. And then,
oh yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, bam.
Oh man. Hey, I know Irish. I know Irish people, and man, you get anywhere even remotely close to those cliches and stereotypes. Whoo, boy, you don't want to do that.
Do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just don't be rude. Don't be rude is the lesson.
Yeah.
I love the organist going, gee, this is almost as violent as the Cooperman wedding. What happened at the Cooperman wedding?
Exactly. I want to see that. Give us details, goddammit. Bruce, come on.
Yeah. We've had multiple friends, including Pete, who is on the Happy Days podcast, These Days Are Ours, ask, why the heck was there no Laverne and Shirley roller derby episode?
Exactly.
This is as close as we get, but that would have been such a perfect subject for the show. And in this sequence, you can definitely see how it might have worked out. That was a great missed opportunity. This is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially with all those stunt performers from In the Army now. My God. Yeah. That would have been so much fun, because some of them were even in Unholy Rollers and some of those roller derby movies from the 70s.
Yeah. That would have been amazing. It would have been terrific.
And I just everyone, for the record, the reason I keep mentioning Unholy Rollers is it's a Grindhouse movie that I discovered by seeing a print of it, or not a print of it. It was actually a DVD, but like I saw it on the big screen at locally in Portland like 14 years ago. And I've never been able to find it since. It's played on TSM a couple times, but like it's super hard to find.
Yeah, I hate those. I hate it when movies become so obscure. When you really fall in love with a movie, it's obscure. You cannot find it except in the middle of the night on TCM.
Exactly.
That's what The Legend of Lila Claire used to be. It was available nowhere. Now it's on DVD. That's what. What else was that? Oh, Lost Horizons, the musical version.
Yeah, the musical version. Yeah, that's like all over the place now. But that took a while. Now it is. Yeah, no, it took a while. Yeah, I didn't even know it existed until it showed up on Prime. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's because everybody involved in it wants it buried, but it won't stay buried.
I think my dad saw that in Africa.
Oh no.
I think he did. I think based on the time he was either Africa or Sri Lanka when he was growing up. I'm pretty sure he saw it.
Lord. Apparently that was another movie like The Apple where the people at the premiere rioted.
Oh no.
And threw free copies of the soundtrack at the screen during the movie. God.
Oh no.
That happened at The Apple. And I forget if it was Golan or Globus tried to commit suicide after that premiere. And he didn't do it. But he was so depressed that he almost did. That's how badly it went.
Oh
and now The Apple's kind of a camp classic, so.
Yeah. You know what? Now, okay, bringing things back on track. Now I wish that there wasn't just an Unholy Rollers roller derby episode of Laverne and Shirley. I wish there was an episode of The Apple of Laverne and Shirley.
Oh my God, I'm trying to imagine that. We do get some more music. We do definitely get a musical episode. All the way in season 7, we'll get there. It's an entirely different thing, but it is fun.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
That's good.
So we kind of quasi do get it. We'll get, Lenny and Squiggy going up in a musical contest in Moose Jaw, Canada, and they end up signing a deal with the devil and become America's darlings singing about speed. But it's close.
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway, but the brawl is pretty fun. It's pretty it's cheesy choreography. It works. It's functional. The crowd goes wild, and I love the victory at the end that nobody's panicking. Like even as violent as everything gets, they just go. The crowd at the rink is just like, yeah, I'm having a good time. We had a show, which really. You got to figure Pizza Bowl music, Pizza Bowl dinner theater, man. Yeah. People know the word's out. And as soon as they see them on the scene, it's like, oh, something's going to happen tonight.
Yeah. I feel like on that one block that goes from one end of Knapp Street to the other. The girls are infamous for a good time, and not in the sexual way, in something weird is going to happen, let's watch them way.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly that same reputation dogs Lenny and Squiggy, but we won't know.
Also possible, yeah.
This is like, goodness, they're infamous at one point. This like, and the Peaceable is really obvious because the extras just stop and stare and watch everybody's romantic drama unfold in front of them.
Oh,
it's
certainly.
even worse at Cowboy Bills, where they stop giving a crap. We'll get there eventually.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it keeps happening.
Anyway, but yeah.
Yes.
Ultimately, yeah, it's this whole episode, this whole endeavor of Take Two, they're small. It's a sweet snobs versus slobs type episode. You know, it's a classism one. The underdog tale is helped by them realizing that the dates. I think what it is that people are they look poorly upon the two guys on Brent and Lance. They're looked at poorly because of the fact that they're different, and the girls themselves are looked at lowly because they're different as well. Yeah. And they're, that's, I think what was kind of cool is they find that as a way to bond, I mean, it still is a bit of a problematic episode in places, but it turned really sweet and about just having a good time. And I love Brent's line, at towards the end, I'd like to see a lot more of you. And it's like, same Brent.
Yeah. Him and everybody else. I was going to say that this episode handles the whole subject of, treat somebody who looks different from you like a human being much better than the Golden Girls episode in which Rose dates a little person. And that episode happened like 10 years after this one aired. So it goes to show that even television shows that were airing in the 70s and 60s could handle this kind of subject with class. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, again, kudos to them for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to them for doing this. I have to mention that the hello line here was super weak this time.
It was.
Yeah, puffy and bloated.
Hello. Yeah, yeah.
That's not the best one. We get some really good ones coming up. But this one is kind of eh. It's not even funny because Squiggy's not puffy and bloated. So I can see him in front of me. He's not.
He's not. No, but that's the catch though. I mean, thin people think that anything that has any sort of bit of tuft is bloated, and I want to smack them.
You can't smack Shirley. No.
I'm not smacking Shirley. I was talking about just
That was her line. I was saying.
True. I'm talking about just like anybody who would, just, I don't know. I'm talking in general.
Yeah, no.
All right, fine. My girlfriend's giving me shit on the podcast that we do together. Fine.
Shh, that's just a sign of law.
God. I love you, hun.
I love you too.
Anyway, but yeah. I mean, aside from that, I don't have any. That pretty much covers all of my notes for the episode. And I mean, I'm not really going to cover. There's not too much to really cover about Pioli and Roth. I mean, we've covered so much about the work through the series. There's another cute, feelsy episode as a particular charm, smarm, and sweetness, and their work has given us a ton of joy. Anyway, so Ray DeValley Jr. This is his second to last episode for the series as director, but it was good to see him back for this one. The last one he did was Dinner for Four in season 4. Yes. So
very memorable episode.
Very memorable episode. As we've discussed before on the pod, his main duties on Laverne and Shirley up until the end of season 3 was as a technical coordinator, which is what he spent much of his career doing. Now, as far as I can tell, this is a lot of like technical management, studio space, working with different departments, things of that nature. We just wanted to give a special shout out and thanks for all the fish to Ray DeValley Jr., just in case, when we get around to Laverne's broken leg, we're not able to kind of go into it.
We probably will be. That episode has a lot going on.
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
We'll get there.
Oh, dear.
It's season 6. It's not awful. It's not season 8.
Oh, God.
Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't have anything much else to say, so I think we're pretty close to the ratings and rankings here. I wanted to mention that Lenny does come when Squiggy whistles for him, which is reminded me of my Countess whistled in Dead Ball.
My Count has whistled, yes.
Okay, yes, I think we're at ranking time.
Yeah, gosh. This ended up being strong enough. I feel like this is kind of a 7 for me. Maybe a 7.5 actually, because I just really like the energy and the flow of it.
Yeah. For me, this is a 7.7. This is a darn good one. It delivers its message solidly. There's a funny Lenny and Squiggy bit. Frank and Edna really do add to the episode. The girls learn an important lesson. And it's a message episode without being an obnoxious message episode. So, on all of those levels, the cylinders fire. It really works. It is a much better episode than you would think it is. I think people tend to forget about it in the long, solid A+ streak that season 5 turns out to be in a lot of ways. But it's a very good episode, and I think it's an overlooked one upon reviewing it.
I remember, if I recall, like when we were watching this together, I cringed horrifically at where this was going. And because I was so worried it was going to be bad. I was so worried it was going to be super offensive and super mean. And and you were super coy about it. You were just sort of like, okay, we'll get there. And I was very delighted and surprised.
Yeah. If it's going to be terrible, I warn you ahead of time. You will notice that. Yeah. I warn you if it's going to be really depressing ahead of time, which I'm already trying to prepare you for Why the Fireman, which we're going to be watching. We haven't watched as of this recording. That's coming up. I prepare you for the really depressing ones and for the really like triggery shit like Bully Show.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. So I know when to say wait on it and when not to say screw it, you're not going to enjoy this. So what you say?
You are quite wise in the way that you try to make sure to guide me. I don't know if this is what would be the way you are my travel guide through the realms of Nap Street. Yes.
I was going to make a Padawan joke, but
wait, wait a minute. That means are you a Shots Brewery Jedi then to me?
Yes, I know how to make beer bottles levitate.
I bet I bet that comes in real handy from time to time. And it does that mean, that just made me think, because you do a lot of baking. Could you knead dough with force push?
Yes. It's kind of like, could Clark Kent whip egg whites with the super speed? And I'm like, yes, but he has to be very careful. Or like the plate. Yes, I have opinions about this. Are you all shocked that I do?
God, I love you. Yeah. Awesome. But so that covers the ranking. Is there anything else to kind of cover for today?
No, not for this one.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, please join us at Night After Night PC on Twitter or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, and YouTube. And we'll be, hopefully, by the time this episode goes up, we'll have some more bonus videos and polls and more discussion. And I don't know, we'll put some confetti or something out. Put some chips out or something. Our parents did teach us some manners, some good hosting, whatever. Anyway. But that being said, we hope you tune in next time because, we need to show some talents, I think. But I don't know, there's only like really 3 colors that keep coming to mind about what I want to do for that is kind of red, white, and blue. What's going on, Lisa?
In the final Shots annual talent show episode, the girls finally seize control of the evening, but unfortunately, Mr. Shots wants to make an entirely patriotic lineup. This messes with their plans, and they have to figure out how to please the boss while also getting their yen to rock and roll out. This is the 4th annual Shots talent show.
Cool. Well, it's going to have some rock. If it's going to have rock and roll, then that's going to be good. So here's open for a good time, and we hope that you will join us for that endeavor. Come on, everybody. We're going to go rock and roll tonight. Rock and roll tonight.
Wanna get happy? Bye, y'all.